Good evening and welcome to San Antonio FC FanChat. It's a new show which is part of the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable Network. The host for this show, as of the previous show, is me, Harry, Rafa, Royce, and Robert. We'll start with you, Royce. This is kind of your baby that you've kind of adopted here. If you want to kind of do your intro and kind of explain the thought behind San Antonio FC FanCast.
Yeah, so solid start calling it a fan chat when it's a fan cast. So we're off to a hot start here. All good.
Cast. Is it cast or chat?
It's cast. It's a fan cast. It is a podcast for the fans.
I have it right in the
San
title,
Antonio
but
FC.
not on my notes.
So, all good. That's what we're here for. So, but yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It's a good segue into what is this? This is the podcast for San Antonio FC fans. We're going to discuss all things San Antonio FC on here. We know the Soccer Roundtable show. We kind of mixed it in, everything. It was an everything podcast. Now we're trying to separate it out so they're a little more easier to listen to, and you don't have to wait, a while to listen to us cover what you want to hear, whether that's, school, high school soccer, or the Athenians or San Antonio FC. So trying to make it a little more convenient for y'all to listen to, and also try to bring a little bit more organization to the show.
And organization is what we need. Rafa, how are you?
Pretty good. Just crazy weekend of high school soccer, but like I said, ready for the debut of the new show.
Robert, you did a thing.
Yeah, I did. I got that tattoo. Was pretty excited about it, but in general, just been doing well. Excited about the season. I mean, on a side note too, excited about the XFL thing is actually piquing a lot of my interest right now. But
is it?
Oh yeah, the Brahmas. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good time.
So, moving on to the first topic, which is going to be player signings, and this is the first episode, so it's going to be a little bit rough. We're going to have a little bit more intros the next time here. But player signings here. The first one that's a new addition to San Antonio FC. Into December, they add Juan Carlos Zacar on loan from 2023 for 2023 season. Last year, he played with, I want to say it was Oakland Roots. Had time with RGV for that here. Rafa, what's your thoughts on Juan Carlos and where do you see him fitting with San Antonio?
No, he'll fit in right well with us. I mean, he was part of the success for Oakland Roots on their little playoff run, then knocking off Loyal. Is just adding more depth for our team, especially I know for us on the stretch, we had some little issues on the wings and the outside defenders. So this is a great pickup. It's an experienced player. So if we have to plug him in, we won't miss a beat, kind of like what we did last year, and just keep the level of play high. So I'm excited to have him on board with us, and then him being in Oakland.
Robert, your thoughts?
My big thing is he seems to scream like a Marcina guy, like work rate. I mean, every time you watch him, he's all over the place. And, for someone that plays a tremendous amount of defense, he actually brings some of the offensive production to the pitch. I mean, he scored some beautiful goals. If I'm not mistaken, he's the one who scored the bicycle kick against us. If memory serves, that could be.
Los Gatos Blancos.
I remember his name as soon as I saw his name. I was like, I know exactly who that guy is. But like I said, he always was, productive. He seemed like he can kind of fit in different positions too, which was really, really useful. Kind of like Delem or some of those guys that we got in the past. So it screams Marcina all over.
Royce.
A few things that this signing does. Number one, it takes off the board one of the biggest, most annoying thorns in San Antonio FC's side for the last couple seasons when Asokar was with RGV and last year when he was with the Roots. He's a very dynamic outside player, a very aggressive presser, which that's once again a very Alan Marcina player. And what this really does is it's going to allow for Asokar to be outside, Shannon to be outside, and Maloney to be available for the inside. And so one of the things that we've been looking for this offseason is who's going to take over, in the midfield. We're not sure how PC's recovery is coming along. from his pretty bad rib and spleen injury. Obviously, Abu's going to be there, but who else is going to be in that midfield? And that brings a big answer is Maloney's going to be available to come in the midfield spot and help out there, and that's huge. That double pivot midfield is really where everything happens for San Antonio FC. And the Juan Sofer signing is a perfect signing to show we want Maloney in the middle. We want to have some backup in the midfield, and that was huge last season. And I think that's what we're to continue this. Let's go over the players that are returning because it is an impressive list of players. I'm not going to go in any order. I'm just going to say who's coming back. Actually, I'm going to say number order. So Jordan Farr is returning. That's huge. A lot of people thought he was going to retire, and he's actually going to come back. That's very exciting. Carter Manley's coming back, and if you're on social media, you will see that Carter Manley has been all over town this offseason because he's a real estate agent, and he has been selling houses like nobody's business. So if you need to sell your house or you're looking to buy a house, contact Carter Manley. How about that? Mitch Taintor, MVP. Salute. Mitch Tainer's coming back. Only Fabs. Fabian Garcia's coming back. Obviously, PC's coming back. We'll see. We'll see how his injury is. David Loera's coming back, which is pretty exciting. The moments where he was healthy, he was unbelievably good. He just needs to, stay healthy. That goal against Los Dos last season in LA, incredible. JD's coming back. Justin Dillon's coming back. That's huge as well. That's one of our, especially in the beginning of the season, we would not have been anywhere near that final without Justin Dillon being on that team in the beginning of the season. And his redemption tour last year was awesome to watch. Mo Abu's coming back. What can you say? Mo Abu, one of the most underappreciated players in the entire league. I would venture to say the U.S. Connor Maloney's coming back. Salute Sarge. Awesome. Love that he's coming back. Nacho Bailone is coming back. That is a surprising signing, but at the same time, he spent part of 2 seasons with SAFC under Alan Marcina, and he's obviously an Alan Marcina guy. So awesome signing. And Nacho's such a good dude. And Shannon Gomez is coming back outside. And like I said, Shannon and Azokar on the wings. It's going to be incredible. Back to you, Harry.
So just to wrap up on one Carlos here. Last year, he played 33 matches, almost 2,800 minutes, 10 goals, and 1 assist. So
I always had a question about him. If you've seen his track record, his rights are owned by another team. He's been loaned like 3-4 years in a row. Like it's interesting. Like at this point, why don't they just cut ties and just keep loaning him like every single year? I don't know what's up with that.
They're making money. They're making it.
guess
Two things. It's a Venezuelan team. Venezuela's currency right now is it's taken it was low beforehand. It's taken an incredible dip now. Like 1 million of their currency is worth $1, and they're making US dollars off of his loan deal.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
Pretty good deal for them.
Sure.
The next player announced January 11th, Nico Hansen, former.
You're muted, Harry.
There you go.
Oh, there he is.
Can you hear me? No.
Yes, sir.
You're back on. Yep, you're back on.
You're good.
You're good.
Go, Royce.
Oh, I guess we're talking about Nico Hansen. Has a lot of experience in the MLS. Another very exciting attacker. He's listed as a midfielder, so we'll see if he's kind of that number 10. He takes that Pirano position and the Loera position from last year. He's 5'10", so he's a bit taller than both of them. So he could be a target if Asokar and Gomez come up. He could have a late run in the box, a la Weston McKennie. So that's a little exciting. Super athletic. He'll take anybody on with the dribble. A very, very exciting prospect for this team for sure.
That's what I noticed in some of his highlights, like the athleticism and like his ability to create for others. Like it was pretty impressive considering his size. It just seems like it's a situation where like he would rather maybe get some more minutes than riding the bench of an MLS team. So it's exciting to see because we need the one thing that, and we'll get to later, is the offense, the production. You know, considering what we lost, that's the one thing that makes me the most nervous for the upcoming season. So it's good to see him on.
For sure. And that's another thing we need to talk about. Obviously, we'll get to the last signing. Well, you know what? Let's talk about the last signing, and then we'll talk about the departures, the possible departures, and the departures we have had.
Sure.
So the last signing is going to be Kamani Smith, who's another MLS standout. Really, I believe he was with DC United last season. He played a lot as a striker and as kind of in a striker core, a forward core. Another very athletic, another very quick guy, and somebody he's honestly going to fit right in with this team with the kind of the forward. He's kind of the prototypical forward in this Alan Marcina system we have. So that's another very exciting signing. It might be a level up, so which would be insane. And we need to talk about that because obviously the strikers, the forwards that we have on our team listed right now are Kamani Smith, JD, Justin Dillon, and Nacho Bailone. The two strikers that are not going to be in preseason camp. One of them went back to his parent club on loan. I'm sorry, three. One of them went back to his parent club from his loan, and that was Jack Lynn. He has returned to his team. The other was Sam Adeniran. Sam Adeniran went back to Seattle, and they immediately traded him to St. Louis City FC, who is going to have their first season in the MLS, and he is going to compete for a starting striker job in the MLS. So that's exciting.
Yes.
That's all we want to see. We want to see our guys succeed, even if that means going to the next level. That's even better because we're going to support them from there. And that's exciting to watch. And at the same time, another absent player that's been with us for the last couple of seasons is Santiago Patino. He spent a week with his dad's club in Colombia, and now he's in the preseason camp for the San Jose Earthquakes, I believe. So I haven't heard anything from his from how it's going out there. Obviously, I have seen some film of some other preseason camps. I saw Nathan Fogacha score a bicycle kick in his preseason
that was nice.
Debut. So that's good for him. That's awesome. Hopefully he maintains that spot with the Portland Timbers. But I mean, all the best to Santi. Hopefully he sticks with San Jose and he gets a starting job over there. That'd be great.
And what I was seeing online is that the decisions are coming soon for San Jose in terms of are they going to keep him or not. And I was trying to follow the feed on Twitter, and I saw a couple people talking about him, but nothing specific, you know. But to piggyback on the Nathan one, oh gosh, the fans are like wanting him to definitely be something to take over some more minutes. They're excited to see what he can do.
And Rafa, do you have any more players that have departed that you can think of?
I've got the player
Elliot
list here.
Collier going to Loyal. Does that hurt us a bit? I mean, he had a good start of the season, but I think he just really never recovered back from that injury. I think the one game that he really made a difference was that RGV game down there.
Two games he made a really big difference.
Yeah.
The RGV game and the Austin FC game.
The
The Open Cup match. And he and Justin Dillon, they're on the field.
Mm-hmm.
They had great chemistry together. And that's going to be missed, that chemistry. Hopefully JD can continue that with either Nacho or Kamani. But I think Elliot's going to be a miss, but at the same time, kind of injury derailed him toward the end of the season. So he never really picked that back up. So, hope nothing for the best unless he's playing San Antonio FC. But nothing for the best for him out there. And hopefully him signing with San Diego, which, rumor has it, they might be going to MLS in the next couple seasons. Hopefully that is kind of a tryout for him to get an MLS spot and make some good money. So That'd be great to see.
So the players that have left, Collier, he went to San Diego December 27th. Dioff went to Lexington Sporting Group in USL League One on January 10th. So I think they're a brand new club in USL League One. So
That's such
great.
a good signing. That's such a good signing for them.
Good for him.
He was such a good player.
Beckford signed with the Switchbacks on December 12th, which the Switchbacks are all over the place. Let me tell you,
Dude,
Coach.
what a mess. What a mess. Apparently their club spent, $5 million on a roster for Brendan Burke, and 2 weeks before, not even 2 weeks before the season's preseason camp starts, he's gone. He decides to leave to Houston Dynamo. Insane.
Well,
Well, it was a trade, wasn't it? Was it a trade?
It was a transfer. Colorado Springs sold him. So
he
paid.
still gets a say in that. It's not like, oh, what? You want me to leave?
But the club signed off on it and got paid. So for that. So
well, it was probably hey, either let me do this transfer or I'm leaving. So could have been that. Speculation. What else are we here for?
Nicky Hernandez was on loan from FC Dallas. Still, to my knowledge, hasn't signed with anywhere. Jordan Ambiela, I don't believe is signed anywhere. Jack Lynn was with Orlando City. He'll probably stay. Christian Pirano, there might be some whispers on that coming up in the rumor section. And so those are the people that have left. Jordy Delim, Grant McCullough, Jasser Kamiri, Saeed Abdul Salam, and we kind of already discussed Patino, but really there. And then of course, I know San Antonio has washed their hands, but Leo Torres technically was loaned out last year. Who knows where he's at, for this year as well here. But typically that's where we're at roster wise for that. At 13, Royce believes that we'll probably try to be around 20. So with the 7 other slots, obviously one's a backup goalkeeper, but we'll start with you, Robert. How are you filling these other slots?
I mean, the biggest things, at least in the back line, is depth. That's the first thing I start with, like in the center backs. And then obviously a backup keeper is essential because you can't go in the season with just one keeper. And then, a couple backup midfielders. I think we're pretty solid as a core. A lot of veteran people that are coming back. There's a lot of leadership in those positions, which is exciting, but it's a long season. It's a grind. I mean, there's injuries, there's stuff that comes up that needs to be addressed in terms of the additional depth. My big thing is striker, or offensive potential. Like I want something, I just want to feel more confident. And I'm real excited to get someone to pair like with, Dylan, maybe possibly like Collier did in the onset, just makes me feel a little more comfortable about the offensive potential. That's the big thing that makes me nervous coming into this year.
So just to how San Antonio has it, we've got 1 goalkeeper, which is Farr, 6 defenders, Garcia, Gomez, Maloney, Manley, Tanner, Juan Carlos Azucar, 4 midfielders, Abu, PC, Lorera, Nico, 3 forwards, Ignacio, Justin, and Kamarni Smith for that here. So, just to kind of give you an idea for these 7 slots. So, obviously, one backup goalkeeper. How many defenders are you going with there, Robert? You mentioned defenders.
I would say at least 2 more because even last year, there's situations, and that's the benefit of some of these players, similar to like Maloney, who can fill in the back line as needed. So some of those like Swiss Army knife type players are the ones that kind of like Dilem is a big one. That's the one we were initially harsh on him, or at least I was. And then at the end, he just started filling different roles as needed. And that's invaluable. When it comes to the end of the year or like an injury, stuff like that. So I would say at least 2 more on the back line, and then try to get some midfielders and some more often like forwards. Look for, but that's every team scrambling for.
So how would you fill that? So how would you fill that out? You said two defenders, probably 1 center back, 1 wing back, or the thing there. Out of the other, what we said, 7 out of the other 4 slots, how are you splitting it up?
I would say 2-2, but there's or someone that's like a offense, depending on how what formations we're intending to run. That's the big thing. But I would say at least 2 mids and then an additional striker, or like 3 strikers and a mid. That kind of seems to make the most sense, considering the current roster and then what we need.
Royce, what are you feeling?
So if we're kind of going by what we saw toward the end of last year, it was always two big body strikers. So like Nacho, JD, Camarney, one of those, two of those three up front. You'll have like a number 10 kind of sitting behind them a little bit to the right, maybe that Christian Pirano or David Loera role. And that'll be taken by David Loera and Nico Hansen. So I think we're going to have an extra striker so we can have two sets of two, kind of like we did last season. And through injury, we had to add a couple others, but I think that's what we'll do is we'll add one striker. I think we have enough of the 10s. We'll see what happens with a certain other 10 that we've mentioned a lot. We'll see what, we'll do the rumor mill later. We'll do that section of the show later. So I think we'll add one striker. I think we have the wings pretty well covered. If we find somebody crazy athletic, maybe add another winger, but I think we're good on wingers, honestly. We'll definitely add another midfielder. Like I said, I know we want two sets of two. Last year, Jordi DeLim was worth his weight in gold, honestly, last year for the team. And so I think we need another strong defensive midfielder kind of to back up Mode, back up PC. And Maloney will also be a mostly midfielder, I believe, this coming season as well. He'll also be a backup for the wingers. Just because Maloney is like that. Same thing with PC. PC also be a backup winger, and they'll switch positions all the time. So
Abu, PC,
going through
and
that,
Maloney will intermix, right? That's how they're going to do that rotation.
Correct. So I believe we're going to sign one more striker, two more midfielders. So that would be 3 of the 7. So we got 4 left. We're going to sign one backup goalkeeper. Maybe not 2 like last season. We'll see. But I think we'll sign one backup goalkeeper. And then we'll sign 3 center backs because we normally have 2 sets of 3 center backs to fill in and to switch around. So I think that's what we're going to look at. And San Antonio has always been a defense first club. And that's kind of where our power is. That's where our power comes from. Defend first, press first. We'll figure everything out later.
Rafa?
I think we end up for sure we'll get another goalkeeper. That's a given.
Oh yeah, everybody's going to do the backup goalkeeper.
Yeah, that's a given. I think we re-signed Kremiri. I think he's just kind of. I think we bring him back as part of that kind of like the 4 horsemen style of defense that we can rotate around. I think we do need also bring in another player. If we don't bring back Delem, someone similar to him as far as he can play in the outside and in the inside as far as the defense and defensive holding mid. As far as forward, I have a feeling we're going to do, maybe wait on to see who's available from MLS. I think kind of the same thing with the Salmon Ditter, and I think what we need is what we don't have right now. We don't have a poacher, and we need someone that's going to be able to poach. Not saying that Dylan can't do that. I mean, but he's more of a holding forward. He's not going to be your double-digit goal scorer. Nacho could be. I think he's got the capability, but I think we need someone that can complement him. That if we have to do a change of pace. Because as far as formation, the way I think we're kind of setting up, we're playing a 3-5-2. But if we have to go through a 3-4-3, that means you got to have a forward that's a good poacher that's gonna, be able to put the balls in the net, kind of like what Sam Adederin did, and that's what I think what they're waiting for. Maybe a more depth in the attacking mid for Lorera. I know we have Hansen, but it wouldn't hurt to have another one or someone that can play both. I mean, that's what you did with Collier. Collier did play back in that little area. So there's a lot of options, but I think with their being patient I think they're going to fill those spots maybe with a loan or waiting to see what else as far as once the MLS season, who's going to be available that they can snatch up and then plug into the system.
So how many defenders did you pick out of your 7? I know the backup goalkeeper.
I think we get 2, but about hybrids, the one that can play a holding mid and also whether inside or outside.
How many midfielders?
I think another 2. one attacking, maybe another holding, or maybe a winger, and then we do need another forward or a hybrid that can play both the midfield, like basically an attacking mid, or they can play a forward too as well if we end up playing a 3-4-3 as well.
See, on mine, I went more offensive. So I think we get the backup keeper. I think we bring in one more center back. I do think we bring in center back if it's Kamari or somebody along those lines. I think we go 3 midfielders for that here and 2 strikers up top. And it wouldn't shock me if we went 1 striker and went 4 midfielders, because that's the when we talk about substitution patterns and stuff of Coach Marcina, outside of injuries, the back line typically stays together, but it's especially with 5 subs, being able to rotate, the front 2 and the wingers and the attacking mid, to be able to have that flexibility to have that. I could see us with the pressing style that we're going to have. I could see us, try to bring in more along those lines for that here. It'll be kind of interesting, maybe in rumors or at some point. I think camp opens a week, 10 days, something like that.
Mm-hmm. On the 28th.
So on Saturday the 28th is when camp officially opens. Yep. So less than a week. We're 6 days away.
And Jose asked, does the Gato come back? I didn't know the Gato left. And then remember, we're also known for good Sunday transfers. That's true. But I think we start out with the 2020 when camp starts, and then kind of build the roster from there, because Kamari showed up after week 1 or right at week 1?
Mm-hmm. That's right after.
Supposedly that's exactly that's pretty on par. Is preseason camp will get underway 1 or 2 weeks, and then they get on the horn like, hey, are we doing this again? Yeah, okay, let's do it again.
And then we got a jitter in June,
I believe so. June. Yeah.
But
and that's yeah.
The one thing is, I think you got to look at from this year and last year. Remember, we had a lot of injuries last year, so we had to mix a lot of these moves. This year, we're kind of like on a clean slate as far as, because Moan's been depending, on this preseason game. I think that's what it's going to reflect on. If we come out healthy on this preseason, then we'll probably be limited on who we bring in. If we have some injuries, then they're really kind of have to dig deep and find ones that can play at that kind of supplement that level of play. So I think that's what's going to come down to, before the season starts. I think we'll hopefully, like I say, we come out all right, because a team with all the injuries we had, we should have never won it all. But hey, we found a way to do it,
but it's that depth that paid off.
Yeah, the depth paid off.
It's the depth that paid off. Any final thoughts before we move on to the schedule, both preseason and regular season talk? We'll let you have nobody's got anything. All right, so we'll move on. Preseason schedule. 3 matches, February 18th. These are all closed doors, my understanding. Tulsa on February 18th. The only away match, February 25th against El Paso, which is kind of an interesting one. And then their final match is against Houston Dynamo 2 on March 4th at 1 o'clock. All these are closed doors. Like I said, SAFC did mention that they will try to bring something out for it to, for the fans. So we'll have to see what that brings. I'll just say my initial thoughts. I was like, wow, only 3 matches, but then I realized, hey, we're bringing back the core of the team. So it's not like we need a lot. It's not like El Paso that's bringing back everybody new along those lines. Phoenix that's turning over basically everybody along those lines here. So 3 matches, get to it. Hopefully avoid injuries. Because we saw with what Mane last year, he signed, he got hurt, and never made it on officially. So, your thoughts, Robert?
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback off you. That was kind of my initial thought, is that we're bringing back such a veteran core with a lot of leadership that there's not as many question marks that in previous years when they're coming into the season. So, I mean, it's not to make the preseason seem small, but there just doesn't seem there's many holes at this point that they need to fill. So it seems they're pretty confident. And And one thing that that just comes to mind is just like a lot of these times with these preseason games, there's like limited attendance to that would kind of prompt them to want to do those closed matches. Is maybe there's an operational cost because to open the stadium for 800 people or whoever shows up for those games, it may just be a burden. So they may lean towards those closed door matches for that reason. That's kind of something that came to mind when I realized what they were doing there. So.
Rafa?
Yeah, I think from what they learned from last year with the injuries, I think they kind of want to limit it. Their play time. 3 games is enough, especially like I said, you're returning pretty much your core of the team. So, you're really more looking at, how your new signings will do, meshing with your core team. And also, like I said, I'm sure we're going to sign academy players. I'll see how they do, with if they have to get called up. They may. I think I also have a feeling they may play some like in during the week, but they're just not going to advertise it. Maybe like with a college team or something, just to kind of mix in some of the those academy players with the new players. But I think it's a good schedule for us. I think other teams I saw they're bulking up on their games, then that could be because they need it because they're all those changes they've made for us. I think we're fine. So it's just fine tuning what we have last year and also introducing the system to the newer players too to get accustomed to.
Royce, your thoughts?
Yeah, I have to agree with Rafa. We have a lot of returning players that are very familiar with the system. A lot of other teams in our division, in our conference, have new coaches who are possibly going to implement new systems. So, I mean, you got El Paso, San Diego's have a new coach, Colorado Springs, a lot of the top
San
teams.
Diego's got the same coach.
Fair enough. Okay. By name, they have a different coach. So, yeah, the puppet
Lee
master
Miller
will be actually coaching, not the marionette. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of new systems implemented. Those players really need to mesh. A lot of new player signings, new groups getting together. So yeah, they need a big run out of a preseason. San Antonio FC, on the other hand, we have a lot of returning players. It's going to be a very familiar system. Obviously, the new players do need to get acclimated, but I think they can do that fairly quickly. I think I think SAFC is well organized, and I think Al Marcina is well organized as well to help implement that. At the same rate, we lost arguably our best signing from last season. Who knows how good we would have been had we had Kukute Mane on the team.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to be injured for the first 3-4 months of the season, and the contract was terminated instead. So I think that was a big miss. We won the championship. How much better could the season have been? Who knows? If ifs and buts were candy nuts, be Christmas every day. So you never know. But we had a lot of injuries last preseason. Patino got hurt again. Maloney got hurt. Collier got hurt, but he came back arguably too soon. He got hurt again. So we had a lot of injuries in preseason, and we had a pretty tough preseason. We had FC Dallas on the docket. We had Austin FC on the docket, to the point where whenever we played El Paso Locomotive, we literally just ran our academy out there, and they got scored on often and in that match. But at the same time, we ran the academy out there because it kind of seemed like we had too many preseason matches. Now we've compressed it. I think it's going to be more efficient, and I think that's going to be better for us in the long run. Down the road, we won't have that many miles on the legs come late in the season, because it's going to be a lot of games this season for sure.
The other thing that, and we all know this, is Marcina practices the boys hard. So practice during the week, they, from my understanding, but listening to Jonathan, Royce, the feedback you've heard and other stuff, practice for them is almost as tough as game day conditions, just because of the quality of the team. So even though they're not having official matches, practice, practice, with what Coach Marcina does, they're getting their reps in.
And it's not just Marcina. Yes, Marcina is he's obviously
of
the
the guy, yeah.
manager. He's a plate setter, but that really comes from Maloney. That really comes from PC. That comes from Taintor. That comes from those guys setting the standard and everybody having to follow that standard.
Well,
So
Sean Alters, with the when SAFC covered him late in the year, you'd
Yeah,
have thought he
artist,
was
yeah.
Marcina
Yeah.
Junior there, just on hey, this is
Exactly.
what I want, and it's a whole
Exactly.
cycle.
He read the passage from the Art of War from oh my god, is it Sue?
Is it Senzu?
Sun
Sun
Tzu, right? TZU, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, an incredible staff. So there you go.
So moving on to the regular season, just some highlights here. We'll let Royce kind of highlight it here. Opening it up March 11th at home, 7:30 kickoff for that one's already been announced against Oakland Roots. We don't have Sam, so we'll have to see if somebody else can score on Oakland because Sam scored on them a lot last year.
He's a root killer.
Go with me here. Opening match. We win 1-0. Goal by one Carlos Azócar. Write it down.
For me personally, the big matches at Louisville, April 15th, at Detroit City, May 20th, for that here. In Memphis, I might have to go just because it's AJ's and his birthday, and the day before my birthday in my hometown of Memphis. We get Hartford here, we get Pittsburgh here, we get Indy 11 here, we get Tampa here, as far as here in Miami, as far as the Eastern visits. Outside of the North, and Birmingham here, as far as the Eastern visits. But I thought it was travel-wise for a fan, not maybe the most easiest because there's not a lot of connecting trips. And there are a lot of in and out trips as well. So, at Charleston on May 13th as well. That's to go to historical Charleston. But Royce, your thoughts on the schedule, and then we'll go after you're done. We'll go Rafa and then Robert.
It seriously stinks that all of the away Copa Tejas matches are on weekdays. I think that is a huge miss by the schedulers. And it stinks,
and I will
honestly.
say it's not just Copa Tejas. It's a lot of around the league, a lot of close rivalry matches like Phoenix, New Mexico is on Wednesdays. I think San Diego, Phoenix is there. Sacramento, Oakland, I think, is also on a weekend. So that is something USL needs to look at better.
What I will say, and we'll get into this later, I think that has to do with the new TV deal. I really think this schedule was influenced by whoever the TV deal is going to be through, and whether that's going to be, we'll just assume it's going to be a return to ESPN. ESPN lost the rights to MLS. They're not going to have soccer during the summer. The soccer they're going to have during the summer is USL. So maybe they put more production value into those weeknight games and they have USL Wednesday night. And they'll have like a rivalry night. So maybe they'll do a better production value on those matches, and they'll really actually try to drum up some support. And a lot of those matches might be on national television. So that's me hoping. That's me seeing with the rose tinted glasses. Maybe that's what's going on, and that's what I hope is happening. Robert, what are your thoughts on the schedule as it is?
I guess some of the things that stand out is I think we talked about a little bit is having to play Vegas for the first on the road after Cashman Field's been destroyed. Like after the XFL, it makes me nervous. Like it's an ankle breaker. Like some of those, I'm afraid the field's gonna be in the worst. I mean, it's already in poor condition typically.
Well, so a couple things on that. Thank you for bringing that up for sure, because we had talked about that. We play Vegas back-to-back matches. We play a home and away back-to-back. We talked about it in the text group. Are you kidding me? Anyway, good Lord, Harry, pay attention.
We talk about a lot of stuff in the text group.
There, Robert's tattoo, etc. No, but we played Vegas back-to-back. It's a great point. And also the XFL team that's going to play at Cashman Field for Vegas this season even said, wow, the turf at Cashman Field needs to get water. This is in real poor condition. So hopefully they do something about that. Hopefully their team pours some money into that,
Yeah.
and the turf is okay for when we play, because buddy, and we'll see what Vegas is like. Apparently they cut ties with LAFC, so they're no longer an LAFC
Although they have
two
not
team,
signed anybody
basically.
yet.
That's what I was about to say. They don't even have a
So,
team, so we
but
don't have
also
to worry. There's nowhere to play.
they're really going the RGV route, and they just haven't signed anybody. Obviously Trejo's gone. Their two best players are gone. So man, we'll see what happens there. That might be a good academy game. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
The other things that kind of stand out is some of the Eastern Conference teams that are playing on our field. I'm excited to see, we've never played Hartford, so now we actually get to see them at home. We see Tab Ramos. So it's gonna, and they've revamped their team. They're actually putting in some effort to enhance their roster. Indy's a good one too, because we don't have to pay on their turf field with all the pellets. The ball doesn't even bounce.
I'm excited. I'm excited to watch the 2019 USL All Stars play, aka the 2023 Indy 11. So they're signing everybody that was really good 5 years ago. So we'll see how that works.
Will they be healthy though?
That's the question. Yeah.
The other one is Tampa. I'm excited to see Tampa at home. I mean, they're once again doing the same thing. They're signing a lot of names. So it's always exciting to see some of the bigger clubs come to your house, And I guess it's a return serve. We're going to Louisville this year, so for the USL Championship. So hopefully another 3-1 defeat over there. We'll take advantage. But those are things that kind of stick out to me.
Rafa, did you get to go?
Yeah, I just think our home in-state rivalry games on Wednesday nights doesn't make any sense. But I think Royce does make a point about the TV deal. Maybe that was done purposely because they want to highlight rivalry games midweek to supplement the loss of MLS, which makes sense. So maybe they'll start showing them on ESPN2 and so forth, or Deportes. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. But it just kind of hurts more of the fan base here, making those travels down there, because you won't be able to do it unless it's like during the summertime where you can get some time off, but which isn't really not the case on some of these games. And I think also it's not as brutal a schedule like we had last year. I know we had that. I think what made us a championship team is winning that brutal stretch towards the end. It's not like that this year. I think everything's kind of spread out. So
let's see how the schedule shakes out, because there's always some hits and some misses.
To see who but as far as on paper, but on paper, it looks like, I think, it's going to be helpful for us, to, and also, the thing with, I don't know, maybe with, hopefully not, with the COVID last year, it affected us last year. I know it's kind of been hit and miss now. Maybe that's a reason why they moved some of these games. So just in case they have to, if something pops up, they have some space to plug in some extra those games.
Well, Jose is moving the show along. Thoughts on the new jersey? So
that's a hell of a segue.
Yeah, thank you, Jose. It's like you've been part of the show, in the past year. Royce, you're kind of the jersey kit guy. Your thoughts?
When have I turned into the jersey kit guy? That's a new one. I like it. Getting the stripes back. I do like how it's not, the typical vertical stripes a la like Juventus. It's a little separated. It looks nice. I do like the 210 TX on the back. That's a really nice touch. I know the biggest complaint last season was, I can't see the name. I can't see the number. Well, guess what, buddy? You can see the name of the number quite clearly on this one. And the best part, the most important part, that little star above the crest. Mwah. 10 out of 10. Would buy. Will buy.
Robert, I know you probably already bought 10 of them, but your thoughts?
Yeah, it's clean. It's a step up from the initial one last year, like Ross was saying. Like when you initially saw the black one, but this one it grew on me a lot faster than the other one. So yeah, like you said, I'd already invested in 2 of them. So no, I'm excited about it.
Rafa,
it's Juventus. That's how I kind of see it. Or AC Milan
without the 15-point deduction.
Yeah, without the 15, that. I mean, it's different. I mean, I actually went to Soccer Factory last week, and they actually had a sample of the jersey there on a mannequin, and it's like I said, it looks like it's a nice. I think it'll grow on everyone. Um, like I said, it's like it has the silver color, implemented the silver color a little bit more than the white, and I'm getting two, so because of they sent me the codes late and so far, so I got one with the name and one without the name, so just to have it memorialized.
Mr. Mike Check, and thank you for tuning in, Mike. He said he already ordered his. He's on the Robert schedule. He said there's supposed to be a special champion, USL champion, US patch. Eventually, that's why it wasn't available yet. I don't mind it. I think one of the criticisms is the lack of red. I'm wondering if you could, like with these, with these lines right here, maybe have a thin line on the red there. Yay or nay, or any way you could you think it's missing the red or not?
I think the design's fine. And to kind of speak to what Mike was saying is that I heard the same rumor that they're trying to design that official like patch to go on. That's why it wasn't available. I know it's a rumor, but I heard the same thing.
So speaking of, and this might tie into what you're talking about, Royce, a USL design kit. Are you thinking the kit or a USL design patch?
That's a good question. I've heard both, honestly. So, yeah, I guess let's enter into
The
the
rumor
rumor
section.
mill, the rumor section. Yeah, let's talk about these. So, the first one we'll talk about is a supposed USL special patch or a special USL jersey that's being designed. It could be, one could have been misconstrued for the other, but we'll see. It's interesting. It's not too surprising that might happen. If you remember, with the finals patch, they had a whole bunch left over, so they did sell them, and they put them on right there in the store. So maybe that's what they're going to do is they'll have them down for sale, or if you bought your jersey, they'll put them on for free on the sleeve or whatever. But we'll see. I've also heard that it might be a USL design kit, like a special championship kit. I don't think they've done that for any other team previous, so maybe that's more of a miscommunication. There's that gorgeous patch. Maybe that's a miscommunication and it was a patch instead of a full kit, but we'll see. I've definitely heard rumblings of kind of a mixture of both, so we'll see what that comes out in the end.
So I have a question here for you, Rafa, because you're a Cowboy fan. Cowboys just punted away a little bit over 2 minutes. I know they're deep in their end. Would you have gone for it, or would for it here?
You gotta trust your defense.
You do?
Defense. You gotta trust your defense. Besides, like I said, they have
one first down and it's over.
Well, that's what you trust your defense. You build defense wins championships.
They have all 3 timeouts still. So
yeah, and the 2-minute warning.
They just got a first down though. Anyways.
So other rumors, Pirano, Kamiri, any whispers on those? Because I think those are the 2 big names that from last year's roster that we're still hoping can find their way back. Anybody's heard any rumors?
No. What I've seen so far is, I will say, interestingly enough, obviously the Portuguese league is coming back into their season. Christian Pirano's playing for Paco Zefiera, who are a Premier League, was it La Liga Portugal team, which is the first division in Portugal. From what I've seen, he's back in Argentina, so we'll see if he gets a loan deal somewhere. Maybe he's visiting home before that. Maybe he gets a loan deal here. We'll see. But that's it. That'll be interesting to follow. Kamir's doing Kamiri things. He's hanging out with friends, hanging out with family. Kamir's being Johnny Bravo's being Johnny Bravo, and you're not going to change anything about that. So we'll see.
It'll be
We'll
interesting what his hair comes back as. That's what I'm waiting to see, whether it's with us or somebody else.
Right.
Because every time
What
he
I
comes
would
back, it's a different hairstyle.
What I would think with him is if another team wanted him, he would be signed already.
For MLS.
And
yeah.
I think, yeah.
Right.
And so I think it's more like, I think he's coming back here because if he was going, like I said,
Right.
you're gonna sign somewhere else. You got to be signed already now because you're already going to be getting ready for training camp. So,
or
even overseas, he would have been signed already because the transfer run is about to close.
Correct. And I will say, Harry, say what you will about the hairstyles of Jasper Kamari. He rocks the ball, dude. He looks great.
I'm not complaining,
It's
dude.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's
Not
so
complaining.
dumb. Like he cut, like he was boom, Tunisian Terminator. I was like, heck yeah, that works. Cut it all off. What are we doing? Okay, I guess it looks all right. Does the Johnny Bravo thing. Damn, he looks good in that. What the hell's going on, man? Good Lord.
Renenda Rafa Castillo left back.
The legend Rafa Castillo left to coach in Colombia. Yes, he did. Yeah, he's no longer with St. Mary's. He got a position in Colombia, and yeah, he's
That's
back with
for him.
his.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's back with his family and everything in Colombia. So, dude, I hope he's happy, man, and I hope we need to start this train to make a statue for Rafa Castillo. Jesus, I mean. We've got to do it. We've got to figure something out, whether we crowdsource it or something. The last rumor we're going to talk about tonight is the TV deal that we mentioned earlier. There's still no official word on who it's going to be through. So you know what that means? Speculation time. Robert, who would you like to see? What streaming platform, what cable platform, whatever, who would you like to see stream all of the USL matches in 2023 and beyond?
The one that comes to mind that I've been pretty happy with is Peacock because of a couple of things. I mean, the quality's good, and then the cost is dramatically less than ESPN. There's a lot of like hiccups and errors and stuff, but maybe with smaller clubs or smaller leagues, sometimes that happens. But overall, I mean, Peacock's been the one that has jumped out at me.
And who else does Peacock have? Obviously, they have the Premier League, but who else do they?
And then they had Univision. They played when the women were playing on HBO Max. They had the broadcast.
They have the Spanish version.
The Spanish version of it. So I got to watch the
Telemundo.
One of the it's one of the two. But there was one where I couldn't find it on the.
You're thinking of ViX Plus.
And I was able to watch the U.S. women's national team, but it was a Spanish broadcast.
That's probably Telemundo.
Well, that sounds a lot better than, honestly, the English broadcast. So my question with that being, Univision just won the rights for the U.S. men's national team through the next World Cup. So does that mean if I get Peacock, I can watch the U.S. men's national team whenever they play?
Yes.
Streaming on Peacock?
Yeah.
But in Spanish, which once again is what I prefer over.
For sure.
Dear God. No offense, but.
Fox Soccer sucks, dude.
John,
I hope their bids get
Rob Stone. Rob Stone, is that his name, buddy?
The U.S. national team was like anytime it was like some obscure team though, it was always on Paramount. Like it was some like small. It was on some random.
CONCACAF qualifying is on Paramount, so the away fixtures and stuff like that. But the U.S. men's national team rights are sold separately. They were on ESPN Fox. Now they've been moved to HBO Max, which will soon be Max because HBO and Discovery are merging together. The broadcast wasn't bad. I'll give them that. The pre and post game show was, the feedback on that's been good. But yeah, Peacock having the Spanish, whether it's Telemundo or Univision, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't watch Spanish, so I'm not sure which one it was. They have that, so they're also going to have that there. But the CONCACAF rights, I believe, are still on Paramount.
Because Univision usually would show the U.S. national teams like their games for qualifying before before the Mexico game or vice versa.
What I found on the Paramount is always like if they played in like a away game and like some little place, like it was always Honduras or like that's the only way I could find it was on Paramount, but the other ones were on a larger broadcast, but always the smaller fixtures. So that's why I actually subscribed to Paramount, was just to get those random off games.
And Peacock does have Univision, so you can do E, Spy-Fi, Bravo, and Univision among other channels for Spanish programming. So yeah, so it's Univision that's through there.
I will say I wouldn't mind Fox's broadcast, honestly. If they were to have
the Spanish announced team.
why did I just blank on her name? Is it Ali Wagner? If they had Ali Wagner and Derek Ray be the main broadcasters, that would be incredible. She brought so much to the color side, and Derek Ray is one of the best play-by-play guys, period, in English. So those two during the World Cup, I would go out of my way to watch whoever was playing that they were broadcasting, because it was so much better than any of the other teams, honestly, that they had over there. So shout out to those
trash
two.
though. Fox is trash.
It's
I'll take that there.
It's not great. It's not great. Rafa, who do you hope has the streaming for USL 2023 and beyond?
I don't mind ESPN Plus. I mean, because they also have their Spanish team too, and they have their, like what they do with La Liga. They do the English and Spanish. The Spanish commentators, they're a little bit more vibrant. But I think Ray Hudson did sign with ESPN. I know he's moving over, I think, from BN Sports to ESPN, I think, for La Liga. But it'd be nice to have him, commentate some USL games.
Can you imagine Ray Hudson calling the third goal SAFC scored in the USL Championship final, where Pirano does the two turns, the two tornadoes, and passes to Abu, and Abu crosses it over to Patino? That would have been a fun one.
Wild there.
That would have been a fun one. That would have been enjoyable.
Yeah, because I think he's gonna be the one. I think, like I said, it'd be nice to have him on some
for sure.
From his perspective, as far as some of the lower legal games, even though he's known more for La Liga, but I think they've had better commentators, for the ESPN Plus. I know, like, Jaime Moreno's been on a few, like, from La Liga games, but he does a good job. I think he could do some of the USL games, especially like our rivalry games. I think he's be more in touch with that as well.
I was going to say, didn't Ray Hudson also play in NASL? I think he played in NASL, so he's very aware of the full U.S. soccer landscape, shall we say. So yeah, that'd be interesting. I do agree with you, Rafa. I would love to see ESPN get the rights back, as long as they brought some better production value. And now that they don't have MLS, perhaps during the summer they can concentrate more on USL.
But the production value is done by Vista. It's done
independently. It's right. That's what I mean. It's done independently. The clubs get to pick their home broadcast, and if the home broadcast doesn't do the actual production, then it's done by Vista. But like I said, maybe ESPN will put a little bit more money. They won't go through Vista, or if they go through Vista, maybe they have an upgraded package or something that would really help that out. Maybe they'll have a post-game and pre-game show for certain games. Wink, wink. The Wednesday, proximity rivalry matches. That would be really nice. Going towards, let's finish up. Harry, who do you hope gets the streaming
ESPN. I like having the multicast. Peacock at this point doesn't offer that, so where it's still kind of scattered games, especially on the weekends, are all there. I love having multicast where I can put one main game on one TV and then have the multicast if you have an Apple Apple TV thing, and if you're a soccer fan, you need to get the Apple TV because it makes your life a whole lot easier.
Do you think ESPN, also with ESPN FC, you think they will have more coverage with the USL? Maybe they'll cover more games, or do you think there'll be a show dedicated if they're going to put more into it?
Nope.
That's what I mean.
I think you'll get more Sunday,
like a recap.
Well, no, more games on ESPN, ESPN2, along those lines. I think you're going to see that just because ESPN does need to fill some of those time slots. But cornhole or whatever, wiffle ball or Ocho match. That's the flavor of the month. Does USL outdraw those? That's the question.
Like
But
darts.
yeah, I can see
It'll be
more ESPN
pickle.
matches coming on.
It'll be pickleball next.
Pickleball.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is we've had the two platforms mentioned. We have ESPN and Peacock. There's a couple things we need to take care of before we get out of here. It's interesting that we talk about that. We did see an interview with Rebecca Lowe and the president of the W Series or the Super League for USL, which is going to be the women's league in the USL. They did a pretty extended interview on a Premier League. Was it Premier League Morning, I believe, is where they did that. So it's interesting that Peacock is kind of reaching out to USL, and they're doing a big interview on USL. So perhaps, looking way too deep into that, perhaps Peacock is interested in any USL streaming deal, and maybe they can bring something into that. Okay, so let's finish the show up.
We're at an hour.
Yep, we are right at an hour. So we're going to finish this up. This is something new that we're going to try for everybody still with us, everybody still listening. Hopefully you still are. We are going to do a little bit of trivia that I'm going to ask. And at the preseason match or the open practice that we're going to have on Monday, it still has the Roughneck tag. The open practice we're going to have on Monday, the 20th. I'll give this to whoever is, I don't know. I'm going to randomly pick somebody that comes up with the correct 3 answers. It's one question with 3 answers. DM them to the San Antonio FC FanCast Twitter. So that's at SAFC FanCast. DM it to there. DM the 3 answers. And you can win this scarf if I choose your name. So the question that I have is, who was the first player loaned out by San Antonio FC? How long was that loan, and who and which team was the loan to? Answer that in the DM and you win the scarf. Once again, first player loaned out by San Antonio FC. How long was that loan for, and who was the loan to? What team was that player loaned out to? So hopefully get plenty of answers on that. And thank y'all for staying with us. There you go, Jose.
Oh, yeah, we need
how many
Mijo for the championship?
Mijo,
right?
yeah. What we need to do is like get a group together and figure out. Yeah, we're talking about the championship bracelets by, I can't think of the company right now.
It's
but that's some
Added Time.
Added Time is a company that's some really cool bracelets. They show the times of all the goals scored. And it's a San Antonio FC commemorative championship bracelet. So get with Mijo or Ralph about putting another order in. I know they needed like a minimum of 50 to do another run on those. So they're looking for to fulfill those orders. But
we need to get together with him on that.
Probably, like I said, we probably need to get a group and figure out numbers and stuff. But anyway, thanks for sticking with us. We wanted the show to be a little shorter. It's the first one, so we had to kind of go through everything from the off season going into the new season. So we'll be a little more concise, a little bit more short, a little bit more listener friendly. Get on the trivia, DM us at the on the Twitter account. I need to set up a Facebook account, so also kind of be on the lookout for that. But thanks for staying tuned. And what's life without goals? And we'll see y'all later.
Have a good night, everybody.